Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
Weight cutting. It's a problem in the sport, right? But now it has reached power slap. There are people cutting weight. Like, what is your thoughts on that? Like, let's just keep our thoughts on power slap, but just cutting weight for a power slap. Like, would you ever thought that would be something?
No, I would have never thought that those guys would be cutting weight and then slapping each other in the face. Especially when you consider that it's all head trauma, and the first thing that weight cutting affects is your brain's ability to bounce back. So no, I get it. Like, there's some of those guys that are not in like the best of shape, so like dieting down. But if you're doing like water cuts, no, I think that's silly.
Yeah, definitely. And yourself, you've been cutting weight, for your whole career basically. And
Yeah.
do you remember the worst ones? Like,
Oh yeah.
do they give you PTSD? Some fighters tell me that like some of the weight cuts, they really scare them.
Yeah. I had one before I took a LFA fight like on a 3-week notice. I went from the heaviest I'd ever got. My strength and conditioning coach at the time, he wanted me to bulk up. And so we got up to like 180, 185, and then we cut down in 3 weeks to 145. And I did pretty much 30 pounds the week of, and that was really horrific. And it was the most water I'd cut, like through salt baths. And that one was really hard. I remember I got on the scale, I was 0.2 over, and they're like, all right, you got to lose 0.2. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if I can lose this 0.2. I eventually got it off, but like that one was really, really hard. And then I didn't rehydrate properly. I was so mineral and vitamin deficient that I went in, my head was all foggy and spacey. I went all 3 rounds, but yeah, it was not a great fight.
Well, at least you won, right? That's
No, I didn't win that fight.
Oh, you didn't win.
No,
What happened?
I lost a close decision.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was not a great fight. I had another one where I had the flu, and I'd fought for Bellator, and then I fought really quick right after, and like took that one on a 5-day notice and cut 20 pounds in 5 days. That one wasn't good either. But now I'm a little bit smarter with it. I work with Tyler Minton, Wonder Boy's nutritionist, and I'm a lot smarter with like the water load, and then depleting the glycogen levels, and still eating food during the week, and things like that. So like I'm not like just water loading and then not eating. Like I'm actually eating food now, and water loading properly, and then my rehydration protocols are proper as well. So now, I mean, things are good, and I've actually, like, last several years I've had very, very good, very easy weight cuts.
Yeah, nowadays there's so much knowledge out there, right? And professionals like Tyler Mitten, someone that you could go to and ask questions, and they'll know exactly what to do. And
Tyler's phenomenal. I spent the weekend with him at Wonder Boy's fight week, and I was like, okay, I'm 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, like, where should I be ideally? And he's like, we got you, like, you're good, like, enjoy the holidays a little bit, like, you'll be fine. So like he's got me like really, really like on point right now.
So that's probably music to your ears, right? Enjoy the holidays, you'll be fine.
Yeah. So I went out. Actually, I just got back. We went out for a little like early Christmas lights and food, and my weight's still good, so I'm not stressing. But I am bigger than I've ever been, like normal, like walking around weight, not just like so I am walking a little bit more lean, and by design. We wanted to bulk up after the debut, and so we did. But the weight's coming off, and the diet is working. I've got plenty of energy, still maintaining my strength and everything like that. So but weight cutting, like I've realized, like I did okay like on my own, but it's so much better having somebody who is trained and knows exactly what they're doing. And as long as you follow exactly what they say, it's a lot easier. But I couldn't imagine for power slap. I wouldn't cut weight for power slap. Heck, well, whenever I boxed, I didn't cut weight. I was just boxing at whatever weight I walked around at.
Yeah, well, cutting weight will never go away. You're in preparations for your second fight in the UFC, January 13th. You're going to face off against Jean Silva, but you're supposed to fight Gabriel Santos, and then he withdrew.
Yeah.
Did you find out like what happened with him?
Nope. I didn't find out anything. It's all speculation at this point. They just told me that Santos is out and Silva is your new opponent, and it was literally like that fast. Like it was like a matter of, I think there's like a 2-hour gap between Santos is out and then like 2 hours pass. I get back from training, like, okay, Jean Silva is your new opponent. Let us know if we can send the contract. And so I was like, so there's no like talking this over and saying like, nope, just figure like just yes or no. And I was like, okay, let's move forward.
Yeah, that's a trip, right? In a 2-hour span, you could like the opponent changes. It's kind of weird, right? A little bit.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was definitely like mentally trying, and like at the whole time, like I'm getting ready to go to Wonder Boy's fight, so I'm getting ready to fly to Vegas when all this is going down. And then I'm surprised the media, man, they were like breaking the news like literally an hour after I signed the contract. Like it all happened in the span of like 8 hours from like your opponent's out to here's the new contract. And like I didn't even get to really talk to Coach T or any of the other coaches. Like it was just, hey, either you do it or you don't. And it was like that informal of a process. And so I was like, okay, yep, we're good. And the media, like I said, the media had it broken before I even like officially signed the contract. They were already like putting stuff on social or on Instagram and stuff like that and tagging me. So I was like, okay, I guess, this happened really fast.
Yeah. Well, nowadays media, there's the reputable media, but then there's like people trying to be media. So it's like some people are just throwing stuff up there that they heard as a rumor, and this is what they feel like is gonna happen, right? And it's like you're guessing, but you're not taking the responsibility of like a real media member, I guess, where you have to check sources.
And it was all Brazilian media, like all the Brazilian media, like
something was leaked.
So, I mean, I couldn't confirm anything. I was like, okay, cool. This is all like, and I don't. To this day, I don't think anybody's posted why Santos pulled out. Yeah. Like, I don't know if it was injury. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't imagine it'd be a visa issue because he's fought in the States twice now. So I don't know. I have no idea. So, we have our speculations in our camp, but I'm not gonna spread rumors. But yeah, and the opponent change, like it took me a little bit, like it took me a couple of days to like, okay, change the game plan. Like he stands this way, Santos stood this way, so we're gonna tweak this here and we're gonna tweak that there. And but things fell into place. Like I was able to go out to New Wave and train with John Danaher this past week. So a lot of like with the opponent change, like I had a lot of opportunities come up, and Coach T was like, yeah, go out to Austin, go train with John, and Gary Tonin and all those guys. And so like with that, like the game plan kind of changed a little bit, and the opportunity to go grapple with some of the best guys in the world opened up as well, which was nice.
How was it walking into that type of gym? You know what I mean? Because those guys are like the top of the food chain in their sport,
So literally, like all within a day, like I got a new opponent on Wednesday. By Wednesday night, I booked a flight to Austin. Also Wednesday night, I was flying to Vegas. So I flew to Vegas. I told Coach T that I was gonna, you know, go out to Austin, and he was like, "It's perfect because we'll be, getting done with Wonder Boy's, fight, and so like that couple days I was going to be out in Austin was going to let them kind of recoup from 296, and so I wasn't going to like go without training." But yeah, so I left Wonder Boy, like as soon as Wonder Boy's fight was over, I left the arena, got in a cab, and flew to the airport, and flew right into Austin. So I was training in Austin like Sunday morning, and John Danaher was the coolest guy ever. Gary Tonin was extremely cool. They welcomed me with open arms. John had worked with Wonderboy like several times in the past. He brought Wonderboy up for GSP and for Weidman. So Danaher was one of the guys that kind of like brought Wonderboy into MMA in a way. Like he suggested having him come up for GSP, and then when Weidman was fighting Silva, he was one who's like, "Hey, I'm going to bring this kid in, for you for the Anderson Silva fight." And so he he was awesome. He gave me a lot of pointers with even my striking. He was giving me pointers on things I could do, and he's just I had never really like the only thing I'd seen in John Danaher was like YouTube videos of him talking, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, that guy's kind of weird. But then like I completely retract my statement, like nicest, coolest, like one of the greatest minds in martial arts, like all martial arts. Like it doesn't matter if it's jujitsu, it doesn't matter if it's boxing, it doesn't matter if it's MMA. Like the dude has like one of the greatest minds of our sport, of all martial arts. Like he was that good.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that, you know what I mean? Like the proof is in the pudding, and Gary Tonin, he's actually getting ready for his fight too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so it was great because Gary and I got a lot of rounds in together, both striking and grappling. And I was able to impart a couple, counter movements for his opponent, and then he was able to give me some refine some of my finishing techniques in jiu-jitsu, and just a few like tips on scrambling and things like that. That is phenomenal. And you watch his MMA fights, like he's just so good at grappling, that it opens up a lot for him because of his skills in grappling. Like even in striking, it opens up a lot.
Yeah, definitely, man. He's pretty exciting to watch, man. I've been watching his fights for a while now, and he's very close to the title again. So we'll see what happens with Gary Tonin. For you, Silva, man,
could be rematching. Did Ton get the title again?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so it could be a rematch.
Yeah, we could, man. Silva, though, going back to him, you know what I mean? Like, what do you see in his style?
He's a banger. He very aggressive on his feet. A lot of big movement, a lot of heavy hands, heavy kicks. He'll stay in the pocket if he has to. But yeah, I think it's going to be harder for him to adapt to somebody like me than it would be for me to adapt to somebody like him. Like I've fought guys that are like that. I had a training partner who was like him. Same height, same size. I like it'll be hard for him to find somebody on a 4-week notice to find somebody my height, my size, my reach, with my ability on the feet and on the ground. So it'll, but I'm excited for it. I think he's a very exciting fighter. I think he's very tough. And so I think it's really just up to me on the type of fight we have, whether we grapple, whether we strike. I think it'll be up to me. I don't think it'll be up to him whether we strike or grapple. I think if he has it his way, we'll probably strike. And that's just. But the problem is there's a big question mark. Like there's not a lot of footage. You just have his Contender Series fight and like one other very, very short fight. So there's not a lot to go off of. And so it's a big question mark of, you know, how good is his striking? How tough is he? Like, how good is his grappling? Like, I don't know. I don't know any of these questions. So I'm just kind of keeping a very loose game plan at this point, and just making sure that I come in great shape and that I can push the pace if I need to.
It almost seems like it's a con to be fighting in North America. The reason why I say this is because a lot of your fights, there's footage of it. So
Yeah.
like if I type you into YouTube, Westin Wilson, there's like
You'll see
so
my
many
wins,
fights.
you'll see my losses,
Yeah.
you'll see, shoot, you go way back into my amateur career, so you can see how I've progressed through the years. But with him, I literally only have the Contender Series fight, and I have, I think, his last fight before Contender Series.
Yeah, you know, like a lot of fighters say that, like, man, if you're in the UFC, like you most likely have a bunch of footage already out there, like from the regional scene. But your opponent, you know, there's a lot of guys like that where it's like you don't know about them until Contender Series,
Yeah.
or you know, or
No
even
clue.
like you don't know anything about them, and they just appear on the scene.
And that's why, like, I was excited about the Santos fight, because I had all this footage that we'd watched of his LFA career and you know, his UFC career. And then I get Silva, and I'm like, oh, this guy's a really dynamic striker, but that's only based off of that one fight. And even then, his opponent didn't have a lot of footage either. So it's kind of like, okay, like it's almost like I'm just fighting another regional scene fight. Like there's not a lot of footage, there's nothing to go off of. It's just who's gonna be in better shape and who can pull off, you know, their game plan first. Or first and last, you know. So we'll see. Like I'm just trying not to like think about it too much, and I'm just trying to like think about, like, I'm not trying to think about what he's doing. Like I'm just thinking about what I want to do and what I can do.
For sure. And you know, you made your debut last year. What was the impact of that? You know, we know the circumstance surrounding that, short notice and everything. But you know, afterwards, you know, the weeks following, the months following, what was the impact of that on you?
Dude, when you're like grinding for so long and striving for a goal, like I told people back my freshman year of high school that I was gonna fight in the UFC, and so that's, I mean, shoot, 20 years. So striving for it for 20 years, you know, and then finally making it, like it was phenomenal. And then you're kind of like, okay, I made it, but now what, you know? And then so you have to start wrapping your head around, like, and like part of me was in disbelief, like it was like, oh my gosh, like I actually did it, you know. Part of me at one point didn't think I would ever make it, and then, you know, and like that was the milestone, that was the milestone for so long. And then it became like, okay, now I've got to transition to like, what's the next milestone, like what's the next goal that I need to work towards. And so I really focused on just getting better and getting my skill set up even higher than it already is, because I had a lot of teammates that they would get to the UFC and that was it. And then they didn't have a great UFC career, but their goal was only the UFC. And I think once they made it, like they didn't convert to, okay, now I need to make it to like the top 15. Now I need to make it towards the belt. Like they was just get to the UFC. And some of it was just get to the UFC and win once. And, you know, so for me, it's been that, like, don't plateau at just making it to the UFC. Like you've got to strive higher than that. And so that's been like the new obsession is, okay, now I've got to strive higher and have other goals that I want to accomplish within the UFC.
And Joanderson Brito in your debut is a hell of a matchup for anybody, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Man.
no, it was a great fight. The dude's tough as nails. You know, I almost had him with the heel hook. The fence grab played a part, but like I'm not gonna like would the fight have been different if the referee like actually
Did his job
on the fence grab? Not once, but twice. Like I went for the heel hook twice and tried to sweep him to the ground, and he held himself up with the fence. But then, you know, like I adapted. I went to that knee bar, and man, I was just like a inch away from getting it cross body to where he wouldn't have been able to stand up and hit me. Dude, he's so strong. Like, he's so strong. He stood up, and then they separated us. And the last thing I remember was like, okay, I almost got it. And then it's like, okay, the fight's over.
Yeah, just split second, man. Just you get caught with the right shots, it's just over. And
yeah, it just got me like right on the ear. With that, as he came down, and that was it. It was all. That's all there was. But he looked good against Pierce. I mean, he got that ninja choke on him.
He looked good, man. Like, he's a major threat in that division. He's really good.
Yeah. I think I've, out of his last several opponents, like, I think I was the one who's had him in the closest danger that he's been in.
Yeah, you're right, man. He hasn't really been in too much danger, right? He's been the buzzsaw mostly through a lot of moments, so.
And I was shocked on the Jonathan Pierce, because Jonathan Pierce is good. Like, he's really, really good. Yeah. And I think Jonathan won the first round. Didn't really put him in any danger, but then, he put him to sleep. So Brito is definitely a force. I wish him all the best. Like, he's a competitor.
You get another chance, man. You get a chance to redeem yourself, so to say. What are your expectations out of yourself in this upcoming fight?
My expectations, I want to fight, like, regardless of the result, I want to fight that my kids can look back on and be like, man, like, our dad was tough, and he fought, and he was exciting and an entertainer. Like, I haven't really had a fight like that where it was like wow, that's like fight of the night worthy, like, type fight. Like, usually my fights are pretty boring. It's either like a quick knockout or a quick submission. I think that Silva's super tough. I think, his style lends to that ability to put on an exciting fight. So it's just up to me to show up and put on that fight. I was told I was the first fight of the year, but I don't know. But yeah, I would love to be the first fight of the year and kick off 2024 with a bang.
Imagine if you were the first fight of the year and then you became the last fight of the year at the end of the year. That would be insane. Right? That means you'd have to be like a main event pay-per-view, right? Which would be
the
craziest projection.
I mean, shoot. You look at Sean Strickland, though. Like, he saved that main card, that main event the first of the year, and then he worked his way all the way to the title by the end of the year. Like, I mean, I think
it's not impossible, man. This game, it takes only a couple fights, and next thing you know, you're in the spotlight, and everybody wants to know, what you think about Conor McGregor, right? Like, it just shoots to that level.
My dad and I were talking about that tonight, as we were out with the family, and he was talking about Steven's fight and everything like that. And it's like, unfortunately, because he was like, well, if Shavkat gets the title and wins the title, you think that would actually help Steven? And I was like, I mean, it could. I said, you're only as good as your last fight. So I was like, really, I said, the loss won't really matter if Steven gets another fight, like, say, after he gets the winner, like, if MVP wins, right, and then they give him MVP and he beats MVP, like, he'll be back on top, and everyone will be talking about, oh yeah, Steven should be next in line for the title, or he'll be close to the title again. I was like, it really is really dependent on your next fight, because I think Strickland was coming off a loss to Cannonier, then he beat that German-Russian guy, Abus, and then he got the title shot. So it's like you're only as good as your last fight in this sport, and we have a very short memory.
Step up. You step up when you get the opportunity. That's what it is, to be honest with you. That's what Sean Strickland did.
100%.
January 13th, man. The first event. First UFC event of the year 2024, Las Vegas. Westin, thank you so much, man, for the time, and all the best in this upcoming fight.
Yeah, I appreciate it, John. Thank you.